this seems really frivolous after that last panel, which was excellent, by the way. Good job, Molly. Thank you for everyone sharing so much information. These graphics, this is a new StreamYard function where you can have a rotating logo in the right-hand side of the, whoa, it's going too fast, oh my goodness. So we get to the more scratchy and sniffy part of the afternoon. If you have your cards with you. This was, so the next panel is Center for Creative Entrepreneurship have connected us with a couple of people we should have been connected with anyway, truth be told, but we're now going to scratch at the suggestion of Greg Spero, and I don't know why, but the next scratchy thing is number 4. Scratch number 4. And when Greg comes on the line, is Greg on the line there, Molly?
I'm here. I just was able to turn on my video.
And this is what you saw. Like, what the fuck? Everyone's scratching number 4. Why? What are we scratching and why, Greg?
It's a good question.
Oh, for fuck's sake, this was so much work.
Well, okay. I bet you I'm gonna guess because it was a while ago that you guys asked me about you probably asked my favorite smell, right?
Yeah.
So my favorite smell is vanilla. Is that what I put in there?
Yeah.
All right. You did it. So that makes me really disappointed that I don't have my card. I'm all the way out in Los Angeles and I bounce between different locations. And so I don't have mine on me. And I really wish I had the smell of vanilla right now because it's something that is, it takes me back to many fond memories.
Okay. So I was like, okay, well, so the idea of this is we're just trying to show people that insane isn't necessarily crazy. It's not a bad thing. And Molly's talking to people who are designated sniffers. We almost had a Friday night sniff party, just like the 80s for me. And it just seemed like a crazy thing to do.
I love it. No, that makes me so happy. I'm just glad that it was our favorite smell and not like something like what we smell like, because I tend to eat a lot of garlic. And so then if it was that, then it would have been a really bad situation for you guys. So,
so one panelist asked me to find a smell, and perplexed, the smell company sent me this envelope, which is like just the kind of envelope you don't want to arrive on your doorstep. It was like 8 smells that they thought would be in the ballpark of the requested smell, none of which was. I mean, and I'll talk about it later, but oh my goodness, smells are powerful things. The olfactory senses is the deepest, hardest, most permanent way to plant a memory in the brain. So I think my idea is, anytime anybody smells any one of the 8 fragrances on the card, they'll immediately just go, oh, I've got to order another copy of Martin's book. Inexplicably, that's a subtext. It seems like we're sharing information and this is a conference. Really, I'm infiltrating. Oh, Michael Dent said he scratched a panel and then he put his finger in his mouth. This is all covered in our release non-disclaimer thing. If you're allergic, you shouldn't be doing it. If you don't know that you're allergic to scratch and sniff vanilla, I think you should. You should have known that.
So are you telling me that now every time that any of the 75 people on this participating in this right now smell vanilla, that they'll think of me?
No, because I already jumped in and said they're going to order my book. So you see, I planted it there.
You win. You win.
Welcome, Greg. So I think what's happening, I see Trey is on this, Trey's on the call too. Are we doing 2 short segments? Is that what we're doing? I think that's what we're doing. Yeah. So we'll do that then.
Yep,
So let me start with you, Greg, and introduce you to everyone. You're a musician of quite some repute here. Halsey, am I saying that right?
Yes, that's generally accurate. It's actually a lot more accurate than most of the places that we traveled and people tried to say the name. So
Halsey, welcome Halsey on stage. But I'm intrigued by is this a solo album of yours, Radio Over Miles?
Yeah, where'd you find that? That was one of the first ones.
Wow. And you work with Buddy Rich?
No. Well, the Buddy Rich Big Band. Buddy died when I was 2 years old, so I wasn't that prolific. But he left a strong legacy, and his daughter Kathy Rich kept his band going. So I started playing with them at the Buddy Rich 25th Memorial Concert with Dave Weckl and John Blackwell. Started touring with John Blackwell shortly after that, and Ginger Baker, R.I.P. That crazy. I guess you swore earlier, so we can swear on here. That
you can swear whatever you want, yeah.
Awesome, yeah. That Ginger Baker is a crazy motherfucker, or he was. I love that dude to death. And
he actually replaced me in PIL.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, it was cool. I'm like, I quit in '85.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize those ties. That's amazing.
Yeah, I actually wanted to call up and say, can I come back in as Ginger's drum tech? You know, that would have been, but yeah.
But that was the Buddy Rich thing. That was very. I mean, I've toured with them since then. I've played with them every once in a while. I'll play back with the Legacy Band. Greg Powder plays drums for them for the most part now, but they often have these big, these big drumathons where they bring in a bunch of famous drummers.
Wow, that's pretty wild. And so, but are you part of 2112 or the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship? Is that our connection?
Yeah, well, I mean, yes and no. I've known Scott for forever, and Dan, who's now working with them. Dan, I've been working with him since I grew up in Chicago, and then I moved to Champaign to go to school, moved back to Chicago, eventually moved to LA when I wanted to do more pop stuff. But the majority of my career and my community is from Chicago. So Scott, and I met him when he was doing Chicago Music Commission. That was like way back in the day. And then saw him just take step by step doing these amazing things until it was the affiliation with 2112 and all the stuff he's doing now. And we're discussing some sort of potentiality of working together in terms of the tech project I'm doing right now to try to save all of us in the music world, but as our revenues have been just completely squashed now that nobody can tour anymore. Well, that's sort of that thread.
So as much as I'd like to talk about Buddy Rich and whatever, when you raise the subject of working on something to save all of us, tell me more. So,
yeah, I've been a pianist my whole life. I've made my living as a pianist. I've played professionally since I was 14. Went to school for it, but I dabbled in entrepreneurship because I've always been a nerd. I've always been really obsessed with like coding and HTML, and I built websites when I was little when there were no graphic interfaces, and had some entrepreneurial experiences. And so then when COVID hit, I'd had this idea in my head. You know how we have these ideas like, this would really change the world if this happened. And so I had this idea a couple of years before COVID hit. I actually wrote a white paper on it in December of 2018 called Crowdsourced Answers, or Crowdfunded Answers to Crowdsourced Questions. Now, what does that mean? It's an idea of how artists, entertainers, and content creators can make money where there's nothing built out for them to make money this way yet. So the idea is, and we're all on the same page as far as the artist industry is fucked. Like nobody knows what to do now. Everything's transforming. We're trying to live stream. We're doing it right now. Everybody's trying to figure out how to make it profitable, but like the revenue model is not there. My hypothesis, which is proven correct so far, is that there's a brand new revenue model waiting to be created, and it's in the crowdfunding space. So if you take the Kickstarter model, now Kickstarter has some problems. You're begging for money. You have one idea that you're putting out to your fan base. It could fall flat. You're taking a huge risk. If you take that model and flip it on its head so it's fan generated instead of artist generated, then it changes the entire paradigm. So fans can submit ideas that they want you to do, and then they can crowdfund those ideas between each other. The whole fan base says, like, for example, for me, with my weekly piano channel, I've got my weekly piano channel with 26,000 followers who are all pianists. They're looking for me to answer piano questions. They say, Greg, I want you to show us how to like solo outside the changes on take 5, right? So one person can ask that, and then 100 other people can say, if you answer that, I'll give you $1. And then it's $100 waiting for that question to be answered. So I can answer it, I get the $100, they get the answer. Now, if you take that idea and you extrapolate it out to bigger artists, let's say Halsey, for example, people could say, Halsey, a fan could say, Halsey, I want you to dye your hair blue again, because we loved the old blue Halsey. And that's actually one of the market research questions. That's an answer that I got in my market research. What was that people wanted Halsey to dye her hair blue again, and they would pay money for it. So let's just say one person asks it, 1 million fans come and crowdfund that and say, okay, I'll pay $1 if you do that. Now there's $1 million waiting for her to do this thing. And she can say, okay, I'll do it, and I'll donate this all to charity, because there's a charity mechanism in there. I think the bigger artists will go more for the charity mechanism. Or she can pocket the money if she needs the money. But that's just one idea out of 1,000 or hundreds of thousands possibly of ideas that fans have that we're getting bombarded with every day that we can't monetize. So the idea is it gives us a way to monetize that. And then so when you look at the app, as an artist, you see question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. And you see them in a hierarchy based on how much the crowd is willing to pay. So this is the app. I have the beta app on my phone right now because we've developed it, and we're going to release it. By the way, contact me if anybody wants to try the beta before it's released, but we're going to release it. And if I go here, I go to Herbie Hancock's profile. Herbie's on the app right now, by the way. He's trying it out. And so when we release it, people will be able to ask him questions. But that's his profile there, and you can see all the questions for him. And they're in hierarchy based on how much the crowd is willing to pay if he answers it. And the top question is, what was the most profound lesson you learned from your work with Miles Davis? So it could be a question like that, or it could be, we want you to do a song with Sting, or we want you to do a series of piano lessons for young pianists. And it's a way for fans to get what they want from artists, and then a way for artists to see what the fans want and actually have a way of monetizing that want.
Okay. Couple of things. Now just based on the name, it feels like a Cameo family, mm-hmm. With a bit more substance to it. Mm-hmm. Like so is Cameo like, I'll leave a nasty message on your answer machine, or I'll wish somebody happy birthday. Very, very simple fan level. Mm-hmm. This is kind of intriguing.
Yeah, Cameo is our closest comparison in the market right now. We've done a ton of research figuring out where there are competitors. And I've actually talked to the company that financed Cameo, and they're keeping an eye on us to see as we get traction for potential expansion. But Cameo is 1-to-1, and that's great. There's a huge market for that. However, the fact that exists points in the direction that if you could instead have 1-to-many with that same model, it would open up, I think, a market that's going to be much bigger than the market Cameo is addressing. And they're doing great. It's amazing how much money people are making. Artists, I think I heard an artist made like $1 million last year just using Cameo to do stupid little 30-second happy birthday shout outs. Imagine if the crowd could actually ask that person like to do something significant, do a song with somebody, or a song about something, or like a video on what you like to cook, because we're really interested in your cooking and you've never done videos on that before, you know? And then they wouldn't do it for like the $500 that you can get on Cameo. They would do it for maybe 5,000. And when all the fans pool their money to try to get that thing done.
Interesting. And this is called WeBid.
Yeah, I'll put it. I'm going to put the chat. I'll put the.
Yeah, Abby put a link to your socials in the chat. But,
so WeBid.app is the site. If you want, I think a lot of artists are probably on here. If you want to beta test it, I'm setting some people up with accounts so that they can test it with their fan base. So if you email me at greg@webid.app, I'll hook you up with a beta test account.
I'm currently on WeBid, accepting bids for setting me up as a beta tester of WeBid.
Well, that's so meta, man.
that was pretty good, wasn't it? But here's this thing that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I've had a few conversations in the last couple of days that have kind of triggered me to say, whoa, and actually, I've forgotten who's on the call, who turned me on to Melissa Etheridge. Tanya, not in any way, I need to asterisk that, except in the way that she responded to COVID. She went straight onto Facebook for 57 days in a row, doing free concerts, and as you pointed out, failing to monetize them.
I did that too.
Say what?
I did that exact same thing. I did 100 days of live streaming for an hour every morning when COVID started.
Wow.
It was fun, and it gave me a reason to get up in the morning and keep a routine going, but it did not turn into real monetization.
Well, I've forgotten Melissa's manager, Deb Klein, worked with a white label platform called Maestro, to kind of, it's like a streaming chat off to the side type situation. And they moved Melissa over to Maestro, and she now has 1,000 subscribers who pay $50 a month to do 5 concerts. You know, and Melissa says, look, I used to play for 7 hours a night anyway, you know, on the old circuit. She has a 7-camera setup now, which she will take with her on the road when she goes back out on the road. They're looking at sub chats in the chat room to enable more engagement. And basically, Local H, a band here in Chicago, are doing concerts at drive-ins, as are Metallica and Garth Brooks. There seems to be a ton of, and here's Tanya in the chat saying, yeah, Melissa does different things every day. Deep cuts, chat. She's even pretending to go on a cruise. And the thing is, whilst the cruise is fake, I can guarantee you the cruise merchandise will not be fake. Right. So I think it's this really interesting time. It's an absolute explosion of stuff going on.
Well, it's really interesting. Yeah, and that you said Maestro was the name of that platform that she's using. So I haven't checked out that one in particular, but I've seen a lot of these. So the thing is, Patreon is, I know some of the people there and I love them. They're not doing a great job at getting deep into the artist fan engagement aspect. And I think it's just because they do too many things at the same time. Personally, they're a great platform. But consequently, there are a lot of little competitors popping up in tiny niche markets to do something that can really engage a fan base. And if you want to monetize your attention, you have to engage your fan base and you have to give them some sort of scarcity, some sort of reason to give you their money, because digital is replicated infinitely, and that's why we don't make any money from streaming. And now that COVID has happened and COVID took away our last sort of desperate grasp at making revenues as artists, which was concerts, I feel like it's been this sort of house, maybe a house of cards, or like a wooden house that's been burnt to the ground now.
A burning house of cards. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. You know, which has turned into this raging fire of people who are quitting music, and people who are starving. I mean, not starving. Luckily, we have some safety nets here in the U.S., but not great ones. I mean, good compared to a lot of other countries, but it's been really rough comparatively for anybody who's creating content, which is such a weird dichotomy because we are the richest community in terms of the one item of the one method of capital that is prevalent within our entire society, which is attention. Artists have the attention, and so it's actually really beautiful. That attention that we have from fans and from people that want to pay attention to what we're doing, that's the thing that now that everything's burnt down, we just need to figure out how to use that to build it back up with us in control. And we're doing that. That's what Maestro's doing. That's what Patreon is doing. It's also what Kickstarter does, just not in the most effective way. And there are more and more platforms that are coming up trying to do this in the most effective way. I've done a lot of testing with my platform, and I think that that's one of the most effective ways that one can do it. And my market research proves in that direction too, which is why I'm so excited. And I've spent the last 6 months of my life doing all of the things that you need to do to make a company like this work, rather than playing the piano.
I think that when I see, you know, I'm not alone in having a huge North American tour cancel. All the visas, the work permits, the rehearsals, the equipment, everything was put together. But I think that if you take a step back, it's almost like a Tony Hsieh, Zappos vibe. Was he selling shoes? No, he said he was delivering happiness. And if we take that approach as artists, what are we doing? Well, we're connecting with people. You know, ultimately, like why do you go through this show on stage to have all these people to connect with them? Ultimately, to stick around for 2 hours after the show ends and talk with people and stay connected and see them the next time and whatever. And
well, that's why it's so painful that concerts have been. I mean, it's emotionally painful. Somebody on the chat mentioned, don't forget suicide. And you're right, that people are getting really depressed too, because they don't have that. And that's one of the ways that we derive meaning from our life, is connecting with other human beings.
But as much as I miss that connection, and my band is a very huggy band, we'll have 30 people on stage, you know, it's crazy. And then we'll proceed to hug most of the audience. You know, it's this community thing. Yeah. But we are managing to connect as we are now over Zoom and connect with people. Those connections are really valuable. We watched a documentary on Thursday night about Michael Anthony Alago's life, that under any other circumstances, and if we had charged, which we didn't, people would have demanded their money back because the audio had an 8-second, at some points, lag with people's mouths moving. But because we were all connected and the chat was just furious down the side, I was waiting for somebody to say, hold on, this is unacceptable. This is like a bad, you know, a badly dubbed Kung Fu movie from the 70s. It was actually a fantastic experience, you know. So we can still connect. I'm interested to see where this goes. Can you pencil me in as a what do you call your testers?
Beta tester. Yeah. I mean, really, you'd be a creator. We have creators and we have fans, is what we're calling it. And fans make requests and creators give responses to those requests. And yeah, I would love to have you on it. So everybody who's listening to here, if you want to go and see Martin on the app, we'll set him up and you can ask him questions and work to crowdfund those answers. I mean, the fun thing is, like, you being on there, I would love to just see what people ask you to do, because you can ask people to do whatever. It's super fun. It opens up. I mean, obviously there are going to be the trolls and the problems with people doing, like, we're gonna take off any questions that have anything illegal and anything immoral. Nothing that goes into, like, the pornographic side. They can go to OnlyFans for that if they want. But you know, for people like you and me, getting our fans on there and having them ask us what they want to do, what they want us to do, and then crowdfund those things. In terms of performance, it almost becomes its own form of performance art. Somebody asked, Michael Dent asked, do you have to pay for the service? No, the monetization strategy for the app is so I, being an artist, and because I'm in charge of how it works, I can keep it super, super artist friendly, which is different than just about every platform that's out there. So to keep the platform growing and sustaining, we're taking the 7% transaction fee. And that includes the payment throughput system with Stripe and all of that. So the artist makes 93% of all the money that goes through. Also, another fun thing is the person out of that 7%, we take 1.5% and give that back to the person who asked you the question. So if you get a question that makes, let's say, $1 million from the crowd, the person who asked the question gets $15,000 back to them, back into their Weebit account that they can use to bid on other questions or just take back to keep. So I think that'll give people incentive to ask great questions. It'll create a lot of engagement and this more intimate dynamic between the crowd, the fans, and the content creator. And it'll let people have a lot of fun.
Wow. So, and then when is it's in beta testing, when is it going to be live and available?
So we're going to put it on, we're going to put it on the App Store probably within the next month. It's still going to be invite only. Right now it's on test flight. For anybody who's a techie out there, they'll know test flight, which is what you use to do beta apps on the iPhone. When he was just clapping. Yeah, so by the way, Michael Dent is asking, can anyone use it? I'm a sort of minor celeb in Toronto. Yes, absolutely. So just email me. I put my email in there, greg@weebit.app. I would love to get some beta testers on here now. We're like this is sort of our coming out party per se. This is like, I haven't really invited people publicly onto it yet. So I'm really excited to do that here. But yeah, in a month we'll have it out for public. Like you can tell your fans to go to Weebit on the App Store. And they can download it, you'll have an access code. So okay. The artist will have their access code that they can give to their fans to let all of their fans on the app. It's not going to be just anybody can download and ask anybody a question yet.
So, and this will also dovetail in one of my new classes at Millikan is revenue streams. And so this is going to be line number 85 on my revenue streams.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting thing? I mean, just to kind of speak on the macro a little bit, artists now are developing a tech stack. And that used to be something that only programmers had. But it's really powerful. There are all these tools that are coming out that are helping us and trying to figure out how to help us connect with our fan base and monetize our career. And the silver lining on this entire COVID situation that we're going through now is that there is so much untapped potential in every single artist. I strongly believe that there's attention potential, there's revenue potential, and we just haven't had the wherewithal in terms of the synergy between the tech world building these platforms and artists to say, okay, we have to do this now. But now everybody's saying it's time. I've said it's time. I know there's some other people who are saying it's time, and I'm really excited to get this out to people and start helping people create this new generation of content creators that are fully self-sustaining and not beholden to YouTube or Spotify or any of the big tech companies that are out there that have oversaturated this marketplace for our content.
And I've said silver lining a few times, and I don't love that. I think I want to say it's not as bad. It's not as bad, right? Within. Well, yeah, okay, silver lining is fine, I guess.
I think silver lining is better because it's really bad. People are dying. Like lots of people have died, and it sucks. I've had friends die, and it's tragic. But silver lining implies that the clouds are covering up the sun right now, and when those clouds move, we will move past this. And as time goes by, as the future plays itself out, it will be better and brighter than it was in the past, I think, because of all of this.
And I think it's important. I'm also trying to tell artists at every possible opportunity to understand that Melissa Etheridge is on version 3 Version 1 was Facebook Live. Version 2 was Maestro. Version 3 is Maestro with tweaks from the coders to facilitate more engagement for her. When she can tour, she'll be on version 4 or 5 of her setup. And if you're waiting for everything to get back to normal, to go back out on the road, you will be so fucked. You've got to engage on some new platform that's happening, because I'm going to be doing it. I'm telling everybody, I'm going to have a bunk camera. I'm going to have Zoom chat live from my drum riser. I'm going to be talking to everybody all the time. You can pay money on Weebid to watch me cry myself to sleep after playing drums for 3 hours. You know,
I love it. That's great.
You can like fall asleep listening to Martin Atkins cry. That's going to be it. Well,
that's gonna be my first question to you when you install Weebid. I'm going to ask you that.
Okay. Well, thanks, Greg. We're going to bounce over to Trey Elder now. Of course, you're welcome to stick around. We'll put out your links. We'll do a recap. And I know you're out on the West Coast, and it's nice to meet you because we're here in Chicago. And
how's the weather there, by the way?
I don't know. I'm in my basement.
Good answer. Very good answer. Well,
thanks a lot, Greg.
Super honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Martin. And excited to listen to you guys now, Trey and Martin, to your conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Wow. So this is a good day. It's a really good day. Trey, how very nice.
Hello, Martin.
Very nice to see you. So let me introduce Trey Elder, everyone. I love the name of this. I mentioned the name of your label on Thursday night, and everybody's like, "Oh, cool." Quiet. Oh, excuse me. Quiet Pterodactyl. Boom. You created this double vinyl album. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Everything falls on the floor. This double vinyl.
Oh, you got one too.
So you created this double vinyl album. What color's the vinyl?
The color, every single piece of vinyl is a different color. We did that on purpose. Here, I'll show you a couple of examples. Also, I have a compadre who's going to join us too, Anthony Gravino. He's a musician on the record, and he helped master the whole thing. He's a sound engineer.
You want to make him
but here's.
But wait, mine's a different color. Wow.
Here we got more of a pinkish, a bubblegum pinkish one.
Well, I was just going to say, well, what a nightmare at the press. But you partnered with, but perhaps you could talk about your relationship with Smash Plastic, a pressing plant here in Chicago, who facilitated this. Is that right?
Yeah, Smash Plastic is the currently the only record vinyl pressing plant here in Chicago. But they're one of the sponsors of the project, along with Dark Matter Coffee, Revolution Brewing. Yeah, you can see them on the screen there. A lot of other really rad local companies that helped us put this together. But working with Smash, shout out to Andy over at Smash. He was really helped me a lot with the project. But towards the beginning, he was like, okay, well, what color do you want? You want to do all black? You want, red or green that matches the cover? And I've been to Smash before, and I was like, well, you guys have at least 120 different color pellets, laying around your warehouse. Like, what? You're a sponsor. What do you want to get rid of? And he's like, I don't understand the question. I was like, let's use all of them. Let's just make them all different. And especially since it's a double vinyl, not just one, doing lots of different colors throughout the run and changing it constantly means that all set of 2 would be a unique collector's item.
Wow. So being me, I've had my label since '88. I'm like, oh, but however, asterisk, if you had the green one and the red one and the blue one, you're going to get some lunatic who will buy one of each.
Yeah, well, they're all they come polybagged, so you don't even know what you're getting till you get them. Like, literally, they're all completely different. There's hundreds and hundreds of different varieties.
So, congratulations, right? It's a
Thanks.
Great release. with some highly notable artists on it. And all the proceeds go to benefit Chicago venues.
Yeah, the idea for the project, let me back up. Quiet Pterodactyl is a nonprofit. We only started it about a year ago. But Quiet Pterodactyl essentially works within music and arts communities to do events that are accessible and equitable and easy to attend. But also create educational aspect. We want to do, before COVID, we were planning on doing like a series of master classes and making those accessible to youth that might not have access otherwise. And also helping other nonprofits and businesses with their fundraising and events. I know a lot of accomplished musicians, and I've done a lot of creative event planning before, and a lot of fundraisers for nonprofits are, quite frankly, boring as fuck. So our idea was to kind of be like a nonprofit consulting agency and help their events be cooler. COVID happened, all those events are canceled. Basically everything we had planned this year was canceled. So what can we do to continue to help, you know, musicians and art and their community out? One of the first good ideas that we had was this record. That a lot of people, I think, were doing things to benefit artists, which is also very, very important. But our strategy was, what can we do to help the local independently owned venues that, you know, at the beginning we're going to be closed for 2 months, and now it looks like they're going to be closed for 1.5 years, 2 years. They are the lifeblood of the music industry. They're the lifeblood of how musicians learn to hone their craft. You have to, unless you grew up on the Disney Channel, or your dad is, you know, famous already, you have to start somewhere, and local independent places is where they start. So, and those are the small businesses that are essentially getting hurt, that are suffering the most right now.
Yeah, and it's strange. Like I was talking with Greg about silver linings. Well, like, holy crap. Earlier today we had Ad2 on, who has the Haven 46th and King Drive. He's a mentor. That's an educational space. I'm doing my free touring classes because I don't want to charge for those. Right now, I'm giving all my books away for free. You know, it's great to be able to meet people who are so aligned with all the things we're all trying to do in the, hey.
That was requested to show that.
I thought you were flashing me.
No, someone asked to show the triangle tat on my arm, so there you go. Not throwing up gang signs or anything.
So, Anthony, let's bring Anthony in. What you got a nice selection of instruments behind you there, Anthony. What was your role in this album?
Well, I had 2 roles in the album. One role was I was the mastering engineer for the album. So put all the tracks together. There were, you know, a lot of different kinds of artists, a lot of different sounding tracks. It's definitely a challenge to make the whole thing sort of flow, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And then I also have a song on the album.
Well, which song?
It's called Oh My God.
Okay. And White Mystery are on here as well.
Yep.
Oh, I love White Mystery.
Yeah, White Mystery is awesome.
It's a great record. It was really fun to master it because I got turned on to a bunch of artists that I didn't even know of who were really cool. And, you know, it just shows how much is going on in Chicago. I've been there for 20 years until very recently, and there's just a lot of great stuff.
Whereabouts is your studio? And what is that, an SSL console I'm looking at?
No, it's an API console.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah. I just moved about 2 months ago from Chicago to not far from Milliken. I'm in just outside of Urbana, Illinois.
All right.
Yeah. So it's beautiful out here.
If I ever drive down to Decatur again, I'll stop and drop off some coffee for you, and we can have a chat.
Wow, I'd love that, Martin. Definitely.
Wow. Yeah, that's a cool looking space you got there.
Well, it's an old barn. So it was a barn that was converted into a house, and now it's kind of a studio house space.
Wow. Okay. So Trey.
Yeah.
What's happening on the educational side? Are there any opportunities coming?
Honestly, no. We decided just to continue to plan and develop those ideas right now. Since all learning is, well, most learning is happening remotely, at least here in Chicago. Even some of the schools that we're meeting in person are having to not do that again as our cases continue to rise, spike really, really quickly. So no, we're kind of waiting to do some of that in person. We're going to take a very creative approach to some of our classes, and I think those really need to be done in person for them to make sense. Not to say we won't do something, but that's not going to be the focus right now.
Yeah, it's tough to try and connect and have learning happen. I'm trying to do as many. If anybody asks me to speak, I'm speaking, but you could definitely feel Zoom lag. You know.
Yeah, sure. You can only, and we're adults. You know, imagine being a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old, and we're going to ask them to watch, you know, let's say a master drumming class with you, Martin. Like, how long is that really going to keep their attention after they've been already staring at a screen all day to try to go to school?
I can only do 2 different beats anyway, so it's not going to go very long.
Well, that's 2 classes right there.
But we're adults with a scratch and sniff. There's your fucking Zoom lag. And I know, Greg, you had requested teak wood.
I did request teak wood.
And it didn't happen. I'm sorry, mate. Well,
that's all right.
Can I ask why?
I just find the smell of teak wood very comforting.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. It was a random question that I thought I was asked. Hey, what do you want your smell to be? Hey, do you want to do an interview with Martin Atkins? What do you want your smell to be? So teak wood was the first thing that came out of my mouth.
I don't. We partnered with Indie Week up in Toronto. My friend Daryl Hers does that, and he asked me a question last week, and I'm like, I can't talk now. I'm trying to find a fire juggler, and teak wood scratch and sniff smell. The mistake I made, and there are so many, but I should have said, here's 50 smells which are available.
Pick one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up in a smell test trying to find something for Michael Alago, who's our guest later, which just turned into a nightmare.
Yeah, I heard you talk in more detail about that on the Cark on Carney the other.
It really upset with me. And it's like, look, there are so many reasons to have problems with people, and the choice of a scratch and sniff smell might not be the reason.
It wouldn't have been a deal breaker for me, but you know, I'll smell like anything you want, Martin. Whatever helps us sell more records to support these venues.
Maybe we can introduce a scratch and sniff component on the next one. So, what do you see? I'm assuming you're in touch with a bunch of venues. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago, as you know, the seasons change swiftly. So I think some people were able to do some outside stuff this summer, which was nice. It was a nice, it's not a nice substitution. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, frustration and sadness. What we thought was going to be a temporary setback has now turned into going to be a 2-3 year plus setback. It's not like, even if we all had a vaccine tomorrow, it's not like they can just open up and everyone just tours and it starts up a week later. You know, some of those things take weeks, months, years to organize. So it's going to be a real slow climb back into what their old, or whatever the new normal is. You know, even once they can start to have people back in mass in groups inside places with no windows. But for us, another reason that we felt like this project was so crucial to work with these small venues is a lot of these places, because of not just gentrification, but gentrification and real estate and neighborhood groups and whatever, places that have been in business, whether it's 5 years or 30 years, a lot of the new neighbors don't want them there anyway. They're constantly fighting to even stay open. So like a capitalist might say, oh, whatever, that venue goes out of business, another venue will open in its place. That's simply not what's going to happen. If these venues go, there's nothing to replace them. There will be no venue. Like these neighborhood associations won't allow them to open. Like they'll just be gone. So I'm not saying, like this project isn't going to save any one venue at all, but any little bit that we can do to help these guys out, any little bit that we can drive attention to the general public to the dire state that the local music industry is in right now, we feel like is helpful, because yeah, at the end of the day, if they close, they just don't come back, and we have less venues, and then Clear Channel runs the show all the time.
Right. And it's not just you know, when you talk like this, I think about the hideout under real estate pressure, and this is the shit icing on the shit cake, you know. But it's not just the walls and the floor and the sound system that's lost. It's the people running these clubs who, you know, I met Joe Shanahan in '82, I think, maybe '83, and it's knowing someone who's seen 10,000 bands, who's seen the up, seen the down, seen the ones who made the mistakes, see the ones who had potential that didn't realize it, who can actually pull you aside, and a few words from that person can alter the trajectory of a career. And so anybody who like gives up after, you know, 20 years of doing it or 40 years of doing it, that's also a loss, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people in this industry, I mean, if you imagine the passion and the sacrifice that it takes to run any small business, much less a music-based one. You know, you have to really want to do it. That's not something that 5 years in, you're like, well, that was fun. What else am I going to do? Like, that's your life. Like, that's your life's passion. That's what you care about. So yeah, to lose those people is to lose some of the most caring and passionate and giving people, you know, out there that care so much about music. You know, a lot of these small venues are likely not profitable, even when they're able to, you know, be sold out all the time.
And it's been kind of inspirational for me I was talking to Tim over at the Hideout, and he's like, well, we're doing the Hideout bucks. So they've got these $20 bills that you can buy that look amazing, that cost $25 to buy the $20 bill.
And they're all made by various local artists.
Yeah, and the local artists make money off of it. Plus the genius is it doesn't cost you $20 to give somebody $20 worth of beer 6 months from now, you know. And then I got to tell Tim this actually, but then I'd be on the phone with the people at Once in Somerville, Massachusetts, or the Starlight in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and go, hey, here's some things that other people are doing. You could try this or you could try that. And I think the thing that I wanted to mention to you is, you know, yeah, as you said, this vinyl isn't going to save the clubs, but
yeah, not at all.
But what you're doing is, and what we try and do here, it's really important to let people know, hey, there are other people around who fucking give a shit, and we're here trying to help, you know. And it's not the solution to everything, but for at least for a day and an afternoon, you knew someone was busting their ass to try and help you. And
yeah, actually, Tim's wife, Katie, also co-owner of the Hideout, one of the things she told me early on was, it's just nice, you know, like they're all talking amongst themselves and trying to be creative and brainstorm, like, what can we do? What can we do? And I came to them and said, here's what I want to do to help. Are you guys on board? And she was like, just to have someone, you know, I do things in the music industry, but I'm not, you know, a venue owner, to have someone else from outside come in and say, I want to help you, just meant a lot to them. It's like, oh, someone else cares too. You know, someone else is here to try to support us.
Right. And, you know, as I was saying to Greg earlier, urging artists to not wait for things to go back to normal to jump in. I would urge anybody watching this to, you know, jump in. We just started an auction on eBay for like 5 or 6 pieces of vinyl, like 4 double albums. The Ministry, it's basically, in case you didn't feel like showing up, live double vinyl, double pig face reissue, hand screen, glow in the dark, your double album, Situation Chicago, another album, Add Two's album, Jim Crow the Musical, Galen Lee's 7-inch, Chicago band called The Countdown 7-inch, which has a scratch and sniff cover that I did years ago. That's up on eBay. And also, I think Abby put the link to Facebook and Instagram and the double vinyl on Bandcamp.
Yeah, you can get the double vinyl situationchicago.com, which is our Bandcamp site. But we have other things, you know, I've heard you talk a lot about being creative. We have a cousin website called Safe Chicago Music. We're partnering with local restaurants who are also hurting right now. Where you can buy dinner packages for 2 or 4 people. That includes a $10 donation that's going back to Situation Chicago Project. I saved it for today. I'm announcing to the world today. I know you've worked with Dark Matter. We have a cold brew can coffee, a Situation Chicago branded cold brew can coming out with Dark Matter. Today's the official announcement, I suppose. So I'm super excited about that. That'll come out sometime in early December. I don't have an exact date yet. But the artwork's done. We're super stoked about that.
Well, so please make sure you let me know, because, you know, I started tweeting 10 years ago, get the fuck out of bed. And, you know, 3 years ago, that turned into our coffee with Dark Matter.
Yeah.
I fucking love those guys, their energy and creativity. Their love of Chicago and their community is like second to none. So let me know when that's happening.
I will, for sure. Yeah, shout out to Kyle at Dark Matter. He's so creative and works with so many great artists. I
love Kyle and Jesse. And just in case anybody wants a recap, Circle 5, we discovered, is coffee. So that feels like appropriate. Oh, yeah, it is coffee. It's kind of like a cappuccino-y style blend.
Yeah, a little creamy.
Yeah, that's number 5. What other one did we have already? Oh, and we had number 4, which was Greg's choice of vanilla. The next time our paths cross, Trey, I'll do a better job of getting you the smell that you
All good, all good.
And please let me know. Send me a prompt when your coffee's coming out, and I'll do a flag wave for that. Thanks, Anthony, for jumping in.
Thanks, Martin. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We'll get you down to the school in Decatur. It'll be a nice, short little trip for you. Maybe you can do a mastering workshop or something. Or I know there's something you could be informing us about down there.
I'd love to do that anytime. And anytime you want to stop by when you're down in the area and come see the studio and hang out and drink some coffee or whatever, just let me know.
Yeah. It's a deal. It's a deal.
Can I add one last thing before we wrap up real quick? With the success of the Situation Chicago record, it sales in December 31st on this record. So get it now. December 31st, they will no longer be available to the public at all. That's when that project's over. That said, we are possibly working on things in a couple of other cities. We might do a follow-up to this one. I think we're working on one with some people in Bogota, Colombia, a situation in Bogota. So we have some, again, this was not the trajectory for Quiet Pterodactyl I had planned, but in response to the pandemic, we just want to help out in as many ways as we can.
Wow. Yeah, I just flashed, I did an event down there about a year ago. I remember I was in a cab and the sign above the street says, Medellin, one way, Bogota, the other. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? But I did an event down in Medellin. There's great stuff going on.
Nice.
Down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of great music down there.
Well, thanks for joining us. It's really nice to meet you through this, and I look forward to wherever this is going in the future.
Yeah, we're in the same city, so let's meet up for some Dark Matter coffee, maybe throw a little bourbon in it.
There you go. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Thanks, Trey.
All right, thanks, Martin. Appreciate it.
And,
thanks, Martin. Take care, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Bye, Anthony.
Stick around, everyone. We have another panel coming right up. No, I need a pee. We got another panel coming right up. We've done 4. We've done 5. We're going to be doing another panel momentarily when we're joined by Wendy Day. Stick around.